Hey friends, welcome back to the Twing Table, another episode of Plank Talking with a good friend of mine, Mr. Tom Filio. Welcome, Tom.
Hey, Mike.
Good to see
Hey,
you.
folks. How you doing?
Glad you're here. And Tom is going to give us a big story about his journey from start till now, I guess, something like that. So we'll begin with Tom. What brought you to music in the first place? Do you remember any kind of moments of clarity of when you were either listening to some music or you saw something and all of a sudden you said, hey, I got to get in on this. I got to get me a guitar.
Well, my dad was a guitar player and stuff like that, so he always had a guitar around. I never knew it, I just say, well, that's cool like that.
Nice.
And then I remember one day in junior high, we were in the gymnasium, and this girl, one of my classmates, was over in the corner playing a guitar. And I remember she had this guitar, and she was acoustic, and she was playing this G chord that I remember to this day. But I just remember hearing that G and going, wow, that is like so like, it just felt like this warm blanket around my back and stuff like that. Yeah. And I just remember, and that was 2 years before I started playing.
Yeah.
So it was something about the sound.
And do you recall maybe a couple of things? The first band you either saw live in your hometown or the first time you saw a group on television? What would those two answers be? Let's start with the hometown band.
Well, the hometown band would have been in Dalton, Massachusetts.
Yeah.
In 1973. There was this band called Noah.
Noah.
And they used to play all the dances down at the local Dalton American Legion. I wasn't, I was age enough to go to dances, but they let us in and stuff like that. I just remember seeing a live band for the first time, and I was just like, oh my God, I was so blown away. And they played songs like Red Rubber Ball,
The Circle,
and yeah, right. So and things like that, and all these songs, and I just remember saying, wow, it's so amazing, what they're doing. And then a couple years later, right after I started playing guitar, there was a concert at Wacona Regional High School in Dalton. And the band that played there was called Good Friend Coyote.
I know them well.
Yeah.
I know Billy Voyer.
Billy Voyer and Rick Tibbin.
Yes. Rick.
And I remember they were in our high school and they're playing and they had big, PA, and it was, so I had seen like a really good high school band, and I saw like these guys were professional,
Yeah.
They were more. This is what they did, so I was just blown away by that,
Nice.
And the power of the live music just got me like, geez, I just love it so much. It just does something to me.
Yeah. And how old would you have been probably at that time? About
15.
15. Yeah.
14.
And any remembrances from television shows, Ed Sullivan or the Dick Clark show?
There's one show that we never missed. It was Hee Haw.
Hee Haw. Oh boy. Hee
Haw was it. And you see all the pickers on there.
Yeah.
And comedy acts.
Yeah.
And
Roy Clark.
And it was just, it was really good music. But they were really funny too,
Yeah.
And to this day, I almost have a problem separating music from comedy. It's almost like,
interesting.
like I'll be playing something in music and I'll try to throw a little Roy Clark in there or something, just a little bit, like so people will go, he really just do that,
Yeah.
Just to see if everybody's paying attention.
Such a cool idea too. And what was your first electric guitar, even if it wasn't a Fender Telecaster?
It wasn't a Fender Telecaster. It was I think it was import, Japanese perhaps, but it was called a Royal Artist Bruno model.
Wow.
It was a Bruno model, which it looked like a 335 if someone, it was like a 335. It had two, cutaways, but they weren't like what you call, they weren't even. Like one was way out here, the other one was way over there. So it was sort of like very interesting,
Yeah.
But it had this sort of like red sunburst thing to it, two pickups, and it had a little whammy bar, like a really primitive thing with a big spring. I remember I took strings off once. I took the strings off that one, and the spring went.
Yeah, and as you were moving up the ladder, as they say, your trajectory, what was the first real professional guitar, if you want to label it that way? Do you remember your first purchase of a Fender or a Gibson or a Gretsch or whatnot?
Yes, it wasn't a purchase. It was Christmas Eve on 1975 when I was 15.
Yeah.
I went to a party with my family, my mom, and my dad had recently passed. We lost our dad like a year or two before that, and so we were at this Christmas party, and it was Christmas Eve. My mom says, "Hey, we have to go out to the car and get something out of the trunk," And so I'm thinking, okay, I gotta get presents for everybody. So we walk out and we open the trunk, and I see the big square Fender case sitting there.
Wow.
And I was just like, it's just frozen. And I opened the lid, and it was like that yellow 74 Telecaster.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you still have it?
My brother has it. I gave it to my brother. He's up in Maine.
Yeah.
So he has it. Yeah. So that was like, wow. So when I had that baby, I polished it every day. Just took such great care of it.
Was it a maple neck or a rose?
Yeah, it was a maple cap.
Yeah.
The old maple caps.
Yep. And because we're talking about that era, that decade, do you recall a couple of vinyl records, I'm sure, that you were listening to? Was there any type of vinyl, whether they were tele players or not, any kind of guitar records that you were sort of keyed in on and saying, wow, man, I got to learn that solo or that lick there or whatever? Any particular recordings?
When I think the first song I really heard, and this is before I could play, but I remember this song.
Yeah.
So when I finally learned how to play, this is the first song I really learned how to play, which was "It Don't Come Easy" from the Bangladesh concert.
Oh, how interesting.
Yeah, it was that sort of.
Yep.
Sort of like that. I remember that song, and I remember when I first started to play, that was the song I first started to play.
Yeah. Very nice.
So that was it. Alongside with that, my brother had a lot of records, and they were always playing records, and stuff like that. So the record player was always going.
Yeah. I know from knowing you quite a while that you had quite a expansive collection of both vintage amplifier tube amps and great classic vintage guitars in your stable of instruments and tools. Do you remember your first Telecaster that you bought that you would call a vintage Telecaster?
So yes. I went from my Telecaster to a Stratocaster. Okay.
Yep.
I found a nice 65 Strat over in Albany at Drum Sound.
Drum Sound.
That would probably be 1980, 81. And then as the 80s dropped out, I only have my Strat, so I was saying I need to get another Tele. So I actually got a Telecaster from Amherst String plays Tony over there.
Tony.
It was a 68 Tele, had a maple neck, but the body had been refinished, right? So it had kind of a funky look to it and stuff like that. So I got a pretty good deal on it. So I had that for a while. And then I saw a late, it must have been a late 90s, it's this candy apple red Telecaster with the white. It had a little bit of white trimming on it, sort of pretty like that. And I had that for a while too. Yeah. So I had that one, I had those. And then finally I found a 56 Telecaster that was for sale on the internet somewhere. Some guy in British Columbia. Yeah. And it was a 56, so it was for sale, and I was looking at the price, and it looked totally original, but it wasn't original. It was actually refinned. It had different pickups, so the electronics were different, and it was a refin. But the body was the original body, and the neck was original, and the neck on the 56 was like a V-neck way down by the cowboy cords, and that would round up here, for the rock and roll. So I had that for a while, and I recently sold it last year, but I had it for like 15 years and stuff like that. So yeah, it was good. definite difference in 50s.
Yeah. Now, because you have had such pretty expansive experiences of playing a lot of guitars, many different models and makes and years. Can you talk a little bit about your thoughts on something like going from a 56 Telecaster to the 60s to the 70s? And you're going to talk a little bit about one of these new purchases that you have here. So, what would you say for yourself in your insight? What do you look for when you pick up a Telecaster? What are the three primary essences or ingredients of the guitar that you have to feel really at home with? What does it have to speak?
First of all, I tune it, right?
Yeah.
And then I see if the chords bloom.
Bloom.
There's a bloom.
Yeah.
And when it blooms, then the body sort of vibrates, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, another guitar, you can tune it up and it'll be exactly in tune, but it won't bloom.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like organic. And you don't even have to plug it in to find out.
Yeah.
You know? So you get that little bloom feeling. You get that, you know, you sort of feel it humming a little bit like that. So every 50s Telecaster, and I played, you know, Jim Weeder.
Of course, I know Jimmy.
I played his Telecaster. Duke Levine's.
Yes.
I played Duke's Telecaster. Now, just not plugged in.
Yep.
Just like this. Because I see him saying, "Can I try your guitar?" You know.
Yeah.
And it's right away. It's like boom. You know. And so I think Jim's is a 52. Duke's is a 53.
Yep.
My buddy has a 53. Same thing. Bloom. You know.
Yeah.
Then you know, my 56 had the bloom. You know.
Had the bloom. Had the bloom.
So it was good. Then I played. Bo Henderson has a 72 or a 73 or 4 like that, and his blooms. You know. I played. You know, I haven't had that much opportunity to play any 60s, but I have sat down just, you know, like this, and I remember the 60s. The necks were really skinny. You know, really, really skinny like that. So it was sort of like, wow, it's really skinny, you know. And they were doing that for a long time. And it's quite a nice feel to have a skinny neck, you know. It's different. So the earlier ones had like a V shape, or they were really big.
Yeah.
It was almost like
C and D contour.
Yeah. So it was almost like the base of a baseball bat. If you cut off the big part of the baseball bat and you cut the handle down in half, that's what an early Fender guitar necks feel like. It's like almost like a baseball bat.
Yeah. What do you string your Telecasters with? What's the preferred string gauge?
This one here is strung with 9s.
9s.
Yeah, I'm kind of, you know, trying to do a little bit of lighter stuff like that, you know.
Yep.
I thought I'd be breaking them more. I'm not breaking them that much, but they you know, it's pretty good, you know.
Yeah.
9s ain't bad. I can do 10s.
Yeah. Now, in your theories, your experience, what do you think causes the bloom that you speak about? That's an interesting word. I think we're going to document that word here today.
Bloom.
The bloom. I love it. Tom Filio, the bloom, goes in the Twing Table Dictionary of terminology, tele terms. And do you think in part it could be how the string goes through? I mean, a lot of people talk about the quality of how the nut is cut, and is it a bone nut, a nylon nut, a brass nut, you know, all that kind of stuff. I'm sure all of it has something to do with it, but I'm just curious what your thoughts are of what might possibly cause the bloom.
I don't know. I don't really know. It's strange.
Something you feel and perceive.
Yeah, it's strange when it's there, you know.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, you'll notice some guitars, you go, it's in tune, and it's sort of dead. You know, it's just sort of like, you know, like this one, when I play this chord, the body's moving, the neck's moving. You know, you put your hand on the back of that, you can feel this neck moving. You know? Yeah. So some guitars are so, I'm like dead to that or something, you know.
And would you feel and perceive the bloom on a rosewood neck? The Elite Telecaster, which, you know, you don't see a lot of them, but they're there. They have the ebony fretboard. A lot of the guitars you're mentioning are maple neck tellies that have the bloom
Yeah,
that you played.
yeah.
Have you played some Rosewoods that you
Oh.
have felt that?
Not on Telecasters. I've only had
Okay.
most of the Stratocasters.
Yeah.
Like my 65 has a Rose,
Yeah.
and it's a.
Do you perceive I don't know, a warmer sound, a rounder thing to the note on a rosewood versus a maple, or not necessarily?
Yeah, it's all different. It's so many components,
Yeah.
to the thing. I remember in Pittsfield where we used to hang out, they had new wave music. It was down on Fenn and First in Pittsfield. So I'd call there and say, hey, I was like 15-year-old, hey, I want to get a Telecaster, And he says, well, you want a maple neck or do you want a rosewood neck? And I said, what's the difference? He goes, well, maple necks are faster.
Interesting. Yeah.
That's what he said. So
Yeah.
I don't know if he's just,
What's a favorite amplification that you like to compad your tellies into? You have any particular amp that you really feel like, man, every time I plug into that, it takes me where I need to be taken?
Well, I got a Super Reverb from you.
Yeah.
I have that, and I love it. And I got a Deluxe, a 1959 Deluxe.
Wow.
That I bought like almost 20 years ago now.
Yep.
It was $900 like 20 years ago.
Probably what now? 3,000?
Yeah, no,
More?
more. So yeah. I'm not gonna sell mine because I can't get another one like it.
Right.
It's all It's just it goes in the car. No cover.
The Super Reverb Fender Blackface or the first year iteration Silverface, every one that I've ever played, I've played many and I've owned 3 or 4 of them, maybe even more. They are heavy to carry around, but man, outdoors, you turn those things up to 7 or 8, you don't need a pedal. You will get the singing out of a Strat or a Telly, and the reverbs are really beautiful in them, and there's a lot of headroom and clarity, and those amps just seem to really sound great.
Yeah, I've had every pedal that's ever been made, right? And where are they? They're back in the bag.
Yeah.
They're not in my. I'm going out to the gig tonight. They're not in the gig bag. They're in the bag on the shelf.
So you're right into the amp.
Yeah, but so I haven't been using a lot. I do use my Dynacomp, which is an MXR. Mine's from '79. I've had it ever since.
Yeah.
And it just adds a little bit of spank,
Yep.
Kicks it up a little bit. At the time with just my Dynacomp, I'll be out there doing hanging the note, right?
Yep.
And the amp will come back and join the note.
Yeah.
So it's just something simple like that. I've had every chorus, flanger, echo, but I did buy this pedal. It's by this company called Earthquaker.
Yes.
Earthquaker pedals.
Devices. Yeah.
It's called Astral Destiny.
Astral Destiny.
And I didn't know what it was, but I got into it and played a little bit. And then I see a tape of Eric Johnson from 1990 or something. He's playing Cliffs of Dover.
Yeah.
Whatever he had for sound back there is the Astral Destiny.
Cool.
That is it. It's sort of like you play a note, and then this little quartet comes and be like, oh,
Yeah.
You play, oh,
Interesting.
you go, ba, ba. So it's it don't do much when you go.
Yeah.
A chicken pick. It doesn't
But
do
a
anything.
single note thing, it gives it
it's like
Is it like a harmony note?
Yeah, it's something like it follows you.
Yeah.
So it's like you have this, 11th century monks behind you.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you can put that in somewhere,
Yeah.
I don't use it a lot. But
Yeah.
if I'm doing a trio or something like that, I might pull it out and something like that.
And I guess a memory that I have of first hearing you and knowing you was way back in the day when you had quite a few years, I would imagine, in with Vas Ed Vadis and the Fabulous Heavyweights. That was one of your playing spheres. You were in that orbit for quite a bit, and that was really kind of basically really a true blues band.
It was a God save too, because I was living in the Berkshires and just being a local Berkshire guy, but I got together with Eddie and the guys, and next thing I know, I'm playing in Key West.
Yeah.
We're playing in the Virginias and all over the place. And it was like really being a working musician and stuff like that. You know.
Yep. Weren't you in possibly a Hollywood produced movie? It was you guys with Leslie West.
Yes, yes, we were in this movie called The Money Pit with Tom Hanks and Shelley Long.
Wow, huh?
So this was a cool deal. Eddie's best friend was Michael Haley, and Michael Haley was an AD, assistant director,
Yeah.
for this movie, The Money Pit. So we're out having a beer somewhere. We were playing in New York. We used to play the old Lone Star where they had a big iguana on the roof.
Oh yeah.
I think we're out there having dinner with Michael, and he goes, "Hey, you guys wanna be in a movie like that?" You know, yeah, oh yeah, sure, yeah, great. So next thing I know, 2 weeks later, we're on the movie set down in New York City, and we just shot these little scenes. You know, we had lunch just like sitting here with Tom Hanks and Shelley Long, and it was all chill. And Leslie, got to talk to Leslie and stuff like that, and he was cool. He had a real Bronx or Brooklyn accent. He talked like this all the time. Yeah. And he told me that, his bandmate, was shot by his wife in this hotel. Yeah, we're sitting there, and the door opens, and Felix gets shot. Blood everywhere, And I'm just going, wow, this is really Leslie West. Yeah.
When I was about 15, I believe, 15, I went to visit a friend of mine in Richmond, Virginia. And for the hoo-has, we went out to let's go see some music. And at that age, we were able to get into this one show that was at this small, it might have been a community college or something like that, and it was free.
Yeah.
We didn't know who we were about to see. It was Leslie West in Mountain. And he had double cabinets stacked on top of each other of these Sun amplifiers with the head in the middle and another cabinet on top, all across the stage with the Les Paul Jr. And then that's it. I became a convert. I said, man, this guy is, well, I probably said it like this back then. He was the next Eric Clapton, so to speak. But his tone was so beautiful.
Yeah.
Simple phrases, so to speak, but so powerful and emotionally effective. And then I was very lucky and fortunate. I attended the Woodstock Music Festival.
Oh, you got there, yeah.
And I got to see Mountain there. And when I came home, that's all I could talk about is Santana and Mountain. And once again,
good for you.
Leslie West was so incredibly powerful. And the sad part of the story is I had a 62 Telecaster that I bought from this great guitar player. And I really love that guitar. But in Gribben's Music, a local music store, the guy knew me and he said, "Hey, Mike, guess what just came in? A used Les Paul Jr., 58 or 59. Do you want to see it?" And I said, "Of course I want to see it. I want it." And so he said, "Well, I was saving it for you." He says, "I'll tell you what. You trade me your Telecaster for this Les Paul Jr. and we got a deal." This was way back. This was 1970, probably 1970 or 71, one of those 2 years. Of course, I had to have the Les Paul Jr. Had to have it, and I plugged it into a Super Beetle, and then I had a Ampeg, I think it was an Ampeg V2 or a V4. I'm not sure what it was, and I even played it into an SVT bass head with a 810 cabinet. And I could get that thing to really sing and scream. Of course, I was playing extremely loud, too, extremely loud. But I love that guitar, too. Yeah. But at this moment, I wish I had that 62.
Oh, we all do. Yeah. I've heard that story a million times.
I know, yeah.
All cool,
So after Ed, you had some nice road excursions all over the map with Ed Bottis and the Fabulous Heavyweights. What was your next kind of investigation into the playing territory?
Well, the playing territory got married.
Yep.
So left the Berkshires, moved down to the Valley.
Yep.
Just started bopping around, playing here, playing there. Just keeping my fingers in the pie here.
Yep.
And not all good. Nothing earth shattering. All normal. Sort of evolution. I started listening. This West Coast band called the Paladins.
Sure.
And I just dug that sort of way, that three-piece, trio with the upright bass guy slapping away and that rockabilly, but it was powerful.
Yeah.
Those guys could dig in. So I got into that for a while, and I still play my Telecaster, but that guy played a big old Guild.
Yeah.
I forget. He had a big hollow body Guild he played, so I
Yeah.
tried to get that big fat sound on the telly any way I could,
Yeah.
stuff like that. Then I ended up buying a Gretsch. I got
Nice.
a double anniversary, so I could really do that. But yeah, so I always had my telly all through. I've always had a telly since.
Yep.
Like 1990, I always had a telly, and so I always throw a telly in a car and another guitar.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Bloomcaster, if you will.
The Bloomcaster.
Yeah, the Bloomcaster.
This is a 2018 Fender Telecaster. It's a Ventura 2.
You want to flip that for the camera and show that?
Yeah,
beautiful color?
Ventura 2.
Yep.
Like this. And the reason I liked it is I got a good price on it, and it's got that baseball bat neck thing going on. So it's pretty good beefy neck, stuff like that. I don't know, it just feels nice and comfortable, nice and round.
Yep.
Has
Nice.
everything going. Nice cranky back pickup. It's just not. It's a little heavier than most. So this is probably 9.
9.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
And what do you know anything about the winding of the pickups? What the output?
No. Just whatever the Ventura 2.
Yeah, Ventura 2.
Yeah, it probably is. Stuff like that.
Yep.
So yeah, no, I did have one of my Telecasters at 68.
Yeah.
I put these Joe Barden pickups.
Joe Barden,
in,
sure.
the blades and stuff like that.
Yep.
Because Danny Gatton used them.
Yeah.
So I got these Joe Bardens in this other guitar. So it was like, it was just like single coils, except twice as hot.
Yeah.
So it was like, wow.
Yep.
At first I was like turning my volume down because I was going, well, this is hot. But then you learn how to work with them and stuff like that,
Yeah.
And then they're really like rock and roll,
And with this guitar these days, and where you're at these days, bringing you up to the current 2024, now 2025, little ways into it. As I am aware, you're pretty much doing your own project. You're doing a lot of original composed material and recording.
Yeah, it's I got 3 CDs.
Yeah.
I got a couple in the can,
Are your CDs like on the iTunes and Spotify and Apple Music and all that
They
stuff?
are.
Yeah.
They are. And check it out. We'll write my name down at the end of this.
Okay.
It's spelled funny.
Yeah.
But yes, it's on all those sites. And the money's not pouring in. By
Right.
the way.
I think that's true for almost everybody.
That's okay. I never did this to have money pour in.
Right. And you did it because it tapped you on the shoulders back then, and it kept on tapping you on the shoulders.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
it's just part of the thing. I don't golf.
Yep.
I might go bowling.
Yeah.
But
yeah, very, very nice. And I saw somewhere recently, I think you were up at somewhere in southern Vermont playing with are you in a duo with another gentleman?
Yeah, we're playing tomorrow. They're going to do a guitar harmonica duo tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tommy and Ted show.
The Tommy and Ted show. And is that a American roots blues kind of thing, or is it
Everything.
singer-songwriter?
Since it's a duo gig, I'm pulling everything out of the bag.
Okay. Yeah.
And just be live with it. There's no set list. It's just going to be, I haven't done this one in a while.
Is he a guitarist?
No, Ted plays harmonica.
Is he
He
sing?
sings.
Yeah. Okay.
So we'll sing. He plays harp. And stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Ted and Tom?
Yeah, Ted and Tom. We'll definitely do blues.
Yeah.
We do blues. We just did a blues gig at the Marigold.
Yep.
He said, what a great room.
Nice.
That's the best sounding room around.
Cool.
Incredible.
Is that a separate? I know it's in East Hampton, Mass. Is that a separate entity? Is it a theater or is it a building that's been converted?
It's the old Majestic Theater in the middle.
Oh, it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in the middle of Cottage Street there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's the cap of that room about?
I think they could get 200, 250 in there. No problem.
Is there seats or is it sort of a standing, dancy?
They actually have a balcony section to the left of the stage. So if you're on the stage, there's a whole balcony up there, and it kind of goes halfway around. but it's all an open room. So it's just like this big movie house that they took the big screen out,
Yeah.
slapped the stage in, and took all the seats out.
Right.
All right. So it's like a nice dance floor. I mean, it's a beautiful room. And the sound is great. I mean, it's just a beautiful sound. They have in-house sound. It was a treat playing the Miracle.
Nice.
A treat.
So that's another venue for any of the folks listening in that if you're here in the Western Mass area, it's in East Hampton, Mass, which is just a little off from Northampton. And there's a lot of interesting kind of businesses there. And that's a nice thing to know about the Marigold Theater. And normally the shows there, are they like 2 and 3 band shows? That's what I've always heard. But
they got everything there.
Everything.
They got everything. Yeah.
Yeah,
They're doing
nice.
the whole gamut there.
Yeah.
You know, and then right down the streets, the Luthier's Co-op.
Yeah, great place.
Yeah, where they got the stage and there's guitars. It's a semicircle stage, and there's guitars on the wall behind you, like arch tops and stuff like that. So when you play a G, all the guitars, what do? They kind of
resonate.
Yeah, they resonate. They pick up your tone, so you'd be playing and go, wow, it's like a bunch of 11th century monks.
Yeah, and also in that town, there's a young gentleman with his co-worker friend. They're both luthiers. Trevor Healy.
Yep, Trev. Yep.
And Trev gets great accolades from many, many musicians. He does everything under the sun type of repair, and a lot of great reports follow his name. So that's another thing to know about this little town called East Hampton, Mass.
East Hampton, Mass.
Yeah. And can you cite again, just for the listeners, if they want to come on and hear what you're about there with your 3 CDs that you have in the bag right now, where would they go?
Absolutely. And this I really appreciate this, folks. If you go to TommyF59.com, I got all my CDs there, and I do sell them for 99 cents each, okay? So you can come and buy it right off mine, and that would be wonderful. I appreciate it. Or you can go to Spotify and pay 99 cents or $1.99, and they'll get all that money, and I will get approximately 0.7 of a penny.
Oh my God. What a slap in the face.
Yeah, well, the guy at Spotify, he's up there, billionaire.
Yeah.
You know, his concept's cool, but his morality is not cool.
Let's give the folks out there another piece of that information. How do they find your site? Give it to them again slowly.
Okay. My website is Tommy F. So it's TOMMY F as in Frank 59.com.
Wonderful. Yeah. So there you pretty much have it, but I'm going to ask 2 more questions that I like to ask because I'm kind of a statistic data guy, and my curiosity is always running around in here. So is there any Telecaster players, if there's 3, 4, 5, I'm sure there's more, but say the top 5, the top 3 that you really are enchanted by? Any particular favorite record where a Telecaster is being really utilized that you can think of where you say, if I'm going on a desert island, I got to bring these 2 records with me? You have anything like that in your library?
My library is kind of small, but my memory is good, pretty much.
Like that?
Yeah. So I would imagine there's just so many that played and stuff. I don't know. There's so many great people that played guitar and Telecasters. It's kind of hard to grab one or pick another one. But locally, that's what really moves me. You got Jim Armenti.
Yes.
He's got that Telecaster there. You got Bo Henderson.
Yep.
These guys are amazing. There's a lot of cats, but these are the guys I know that I just love hearing them play and stuff like that.
And I'm glad that you said that because I, like yourself,
you play.
Well,
I'm putting Mike Slahetka on that list with Jim Armenti and
thank you,
Bo
sir.
Henderson.
But like you, I feel really right in kindred spirits with you. I really love to look at and embrace the local musician. I am so down with that. And just like how well you put it, there's so many fascinatingly genius, virtuoso, super talent. You know, the Danny Gattons, the Albert Lees.
Yeah.
You know, the Jimmy Weeders and the G.E. Smiths. And,
sure. Yeah.
You know, but you gotta, you know, we are way more encouraged and influenced than we think by the local musicians that we have. You know, and I'm such a collector and fan of local and support. I like blues, I like country, I like jazz, I like funk, all of it. And so I just love it. And I know through my, you know, collecting journey, I've always made a column of people when I've gone out and seen them and find out who they are, what's the band, they're playing the Telecaster. And one of the first two guys I ever saw ever on this planet was the local guy who we both know is Jim Kaminsky.
Yeah.
And Bob LaPalm.
Yeah.
Bob LaPalm, he played that wonderful hand-carved telly.
Yeah, Bobby was a little before me, but Jim Kaminsky was not before me. Yes, and Jim Kaminsky.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Jim played on my CD.
Nice. Yeah. Very nice.
It was like, and he's so cool. He comes in, he goes, "What key you in?" I go, "Hey, you want to hear it first?" "No, I'm good."
Yeah.
You know, and he nailed it.
I spoke to him a few days before Christmas, a couple months back, and I wasn't sure how he was going to respond. I was given a little bit of a warning, and I got to play with him 2 times ever, and it was I think it went very well. And so I called him up, and I thought it would be a 5-minute conversation at best. It turned into about an hour, which I was very surprised.
Well, that's
amazing,
great.
yeah. And so I think he's going to come on and have a go at it. And he seemed in a good spirited mood and very positive. So I'm very glad. I'm hoping that can happen. But I really like the fact that you brought up the idea of how important and vital it is to look at our very own in our community as players. I think that's a really important thing.
Yeah, Jimmy's got that vibrato.
Yeah.
He almost snaps his hand off. It's great. It's great.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
And so anyhow, folks, we're going to conclude. This is Tom Filio's journey in short capsulated form. And we're very glad to have him here at the Twang table. And once again, buddy.
All right, Mikey.
Thanks for coming.
You betcha.
Really enjoyed it. And check out Tom's music. And
TommyF59.
Beautiful.
.com.
And it's got the bloom. It's got the bloom. Thank you, folks. We'll see you again on the next one.
Take care. Hey. So.
Three people in my life that I care for. Me, myself, and I. That's me in the middle, myself in the side. I'm back is Mr. I. With you, it tells me something about me, myself, and I. That's me, myself, and I. Well, I'd like to take you dancing, myself right by your side. When me steps in, the fun begins, and that's the reason why. Three people in my life that I care for, me, myself, and I. Well, that's me, myself, and I. Look out. Oh, to go singing in a big hot tub. Three people in my life that I care for. Me, myself, and I.